Thank you. Good morning. So today I have a story for you about Chirp, a little bird. You like birds? I like birds. See, when I was a teenager, I knew what I was going to be when I grew up. I was going to be an animal rehabilitationist. Now, I know you wouldn't know what an animal is, but what's a rehabilitationist? It's kind of a big word, isn't it? Do you know what a rehabilitationist is? No? It's somebody who takes little tiny animals or big animals that maybe broke their leg, or they got caught in a trap, or their parents died, and they make sure they get grown up really well. So that's what I wanted to do, and I was very excited about it. And so I had raised a couple of different birds and some raccoons and some different things, and it was just so much fun. And so one day, somebody brought me Chirp. Now, Chirp, this is not a picture of Chirp. These are just some pictures of little birds, because they're kind of cute, aren't they? They're so cute. They're ugly, but they're cute. And you see how on its beak, it has that yellow? That tells you it can't really live by itself still. It's got to open its beak up real wide, and pretty soon that beak's going to narrow up, and it's not going to have that yellow on the edges. Well, Chirp was pretty young, younger than this picture, and I took Chirp, and I was very excited about Chirp, and he was very strong, and he was very healthy, and I thought, this is going to be great. Chirp is going to rehabilitate really well. And I had been reading about rehabilitation, and what you're supposed to do with these birds is you're supposed to make them so they're not dependent on you, right? You're supposed to help them to go back out to nature. And so I thought, I know how to do this. And so I took Chirp, and I put Chirp in a little box. And I tried not to touch Chirp very much at all. And I fed Chirp, and I kept him warm. But after a couple of days, my mom was thinking and told me, I don't know if this is going to work, Janelle. And after a couple of days, Chirp was looking pretty bad. Chirp was laying on his belly most of the time with his neck stretched out real straight. He just wasn't looking very good at all. And I was like, what do I do? I'm doing everything right. I'm keeping him warm. I'm giving him food. I dangle the food over his head, and he just was like, not interested. And I didn't know what to do, so I had to consult the expert. So I said, Mom, what do I do? Chirp is not doing well. And she said, Janelle, you are going to have to give that bird some love. And I said, love? How am I supposed to give a bird love? And she said, well, you better head off to school. I'll take care of Chirp while you're away for now. So I said, okay, and I thought I was going to come back from school and Chirp was going to be dead, but instead when I came back from school, Chirp was looking pretty good. He was being carried around by my mom. She had him in her hand. She's washing the dishes with one hand. Chirp's in the other hand. Chirp was on her shoulder. Chirp was happy, and Chirp started eating. Isn't that amazing? Just a bit of love. So I learned a very valuable lesson. And my mom absolutely loved that bird. So the question is, would Chirp have done well out in the wild if my mom hadn't loved him? No, he wouldn't have ever made it to the wild, would he? He had to have a relationship with somebody, even if it wasn't a bird, right? So that little bird stuck around with my mom for quite a number of days. And then she drove down to Ohio to visit a great uncle. And while she was there, Chirp rode all the way down on her shoulder, talked to her the whole way. She talked to him the whole way. I'm sure they didn't understand a thing each other was saying, but they just loved each other. And then 3 little house sparrows came by one day. And while she was there in Ohio, oh, Chirp was so excited, and he kind of fluttered over there, and they didn't like him. They shunned him, and so he flew back to my mom, told her all about it in his little chirpy way. And she loved on him, and she pet him, and she told him it was okay. But a little bit later that day, guess what happened? A bigger flock of birds came along, a bunch of little house sparrows. And those little house sparrows, they were absolutely fine with Chirp and he left with them. Do you think he did fine? I think he did fine too. So, there's a little text in the Bible, and you've heard this one before. It's Matthew 10:29 through 31. Are not 2 sparrows sold for a farthing? That means they're not really thought to be worth very much, right? And one of them shall not fall on the ground without your Father. That means God knows, right? And he cares. So, but the very hairs of your head are all numbered. Fear ye not, therefore, ye are of more value than many sparrows. So, there's, in your life, there's going to be a lot of people with some funny ideas. Did I have a funny idea? I had a funny idea, right? And so people are going to do things to you that just aren't right? And so remember that God gives you this book to tell you what's right. And God wants to carry you in his hand, right? So you just make sure you stay in the hand of God, and then you are going to have love no matter what happens, all right? Thank you for coming.